Hey kids, welcome to another Glen Yaps. We're in the Screaming Mosquito studio once again. As you can tell, we are surrounded by music gear. We are working on this Behringer XR18 unit. I did a video already. We were still working out some kinks. So I'm going to kind of go through some of this stuff because a little bit confusing. So what I want and what I had to set up was I want total front house control. Obviously, you want everything to do with your volumes, your effects to be separate control for the monitors. Some guys like effects in the monitors, so I had to route stuff to get that going. So you want things independently operating in the front house system from the monitor rig, which on a regular board like this is like a no-brainer. But because we're in the digital age and people want to eliminate wires, we're doing the wireless thing. So I'm just going to set this camera down and try and give you a rough idea what we're doing here. Try and make this easy here. So here we go. This is our layout. It's basically a mixer. I have it set up for our band, as you can see. We're a 4-piece band that has a fill-in player that fills in on bass for our regular bass player. So basically they're here for each half the gigs. So he's basically a fifth member, technically. So we've got him in here. So we got 5 vocals, not all at the same time. Normally it's 4. Then we have an acoustic guitar, electric guitar. We've got our main bass player, and then we got our backup bass player. Then we have a drum set, and then we have our music that we play on the break and auxiliary and all that wonderful stuff. So I'm just going to go into the basics of what I have done here. So the buses, well, here's the main. So there's a main here, and what that does is it brings up the screen that looks like this. Okay, now this is the confusing part. Each one of these buses and each one of these effects buttons, when you hit it, you have to think that every time you hit one of these buttons, it brings up a duplicate of this screen. You've got to keep that in mind. Like, watch. You go like this. It looks the same as the first one, and it is basically the same layout, but you have to keep in mind that it's actually a new page. See, I'm going down the buses. It doesn't look like anything's changing, except right there where it says monitors. So I've labeled it monitors. So each bus, I never liked the word bus. So bus 3 is now monitor 3 when it clicks up here. So just think of this as a ledger for what you're bringing up. Now this entire screen for each one of the knobs is adjustable. That's where it gets confusing. Because they look the same, and if you don't click through the buttons and assume that each button has its own screen that looks the same as the previous one, then you will get screwed up. Okay, it took me a little bit to get the hang of that. Okay, now the only thing changing through these buttons right now, visually, is this column right here. See, it goes mains. Try and get this right. Monitor 1. It says bus 1 here, but I can't alter the text on these for some stupid reason. So bus 2 is monitor 2. bus 3, monitor 3. You can see it changes accordingly. I had to program all that. Okay, and then we have a slap reverb. Well, it's not quite a slap reverb, but it's a shorter reverb. I just called it slap reverb because I'd like to adjust it to be that. Then we have your wonderful hall reverb, which is common. Then we have a delay. And then the fourth one, I just put a chorus. Probably never use it a chorus. I'm going to probably put a compressor in there. Anyway, so let's go back to mains. Oops, I touch sensitive because I accidentally touch things and the screen will actually move. Okay, so we're on the main page. So let's get our mains going first. Okay, so I'm just going to do channel 3 because I'm always channel 3 live. So as you can see, we have the effects for the mains because we're on the main button. Right, so I'm going to bring my vocal up just a little bit, and I'm going to bring up the mains. And let me grab my mic. Check 1 2. So there, mains are working. If I was to bring that down, check check, nothing. Okay. Now the cool thing about this, I'm going to say this before we go on. There's these little groups of squares down here. I don't know if you can see that at the bottom. There's 4 slots to highlight a square on each channel. What that allows me to do is put them into each channel into a one of 4 groups, and that group is just for muting. So if I wanted to mute the vocals, I've got it programmed right here to just go number 1, and 4 or the 5 vocals now mute right here. Then I've got all the stringed instruments that can mute, and this is the drums. The drums will all mute, and number 4 group is mute everything. So it's pretty slick. That comes in handy if you got a problem with feedback or something and you're trying to quickly hit the button. If it's a vocal thing, then you can dial it out. Okay, so back to mains. So we got volume here. Check check. I'm going to give it a little more juice. Check. Okay, so no effects on here right now. So here's where it gets complicated. So we go to bus 3, which is monitor 3. That's my vocal. Actually, let's screw that. I screwed that up. So mains. So we want effects. So what we have to do is make sure the effects are up in the main section. This is crucial. Okay? Just bring them all up to unity, or I like to go a little bit lower. Okay, I'm going to leave the chorus down because we aren't going to be using that too much. Okay, now that's where it gets confusing. Now we're still on the main screen. Okay, now we want to hit the effect number 1. Let's say it's the shorter reverb. Now we want to turn it on, basically give it some oomph. So we're going to go up to there. Do not touch any of these, even though they look the same as the main one. We are now engaged in effect 1. Any of these effects, do not raise those sliders. You will cause a feedback loop. Okay? So don't touch them. Only in these, when you're engaging these effects buttons here, do not touch any of these 4. So what you're going to do, though, is add whatever effect you want on your vocal. You have 3 or 4 choices. Now remember, Glen's vocal here. This is a screen. There's a new screen for each one. Looks exactly the same. Now watch. I'm going to put that reverb in there first.
check, check, check.
That's a short reverb. You can hear it. Okay, but watch. If I go down the effects, boom, those sliders disappear. Each button has its own screen. So if I wanted an effect on the mains for all the vocals, each effect you can add per channel to whatever instrument you want. So again, we'll put that one in here. And if I go down the list, see that slider's down. Think of it as a totally new screen. So I add that. And I forgot to turn the mains up. Or not mains, but the master effects sliders. Those have to be up to get anything in here. So now, if we go back here, you already have those sliders up on the main. We should have delay and a whole bunch of reverb.
Check.
Oh, wait, let's see here. We're not getting delay. Why is that? Oh, that's because I have the wrong one. My boo-boo.
Check. There's your delay. Check. Check.
So you have a short reverb, a long reverb, or a hall reverb, and a delay. So these on the master stay up. Okay? Just shy of unity gain. Okay, and if you want more effect or less effect on each item, or each vocal or whatever channel, you go to that one right there, and you can add or subtract on whatever channel you want. Okay? So you can go right down the board, you can put all vocal right there. Okay? That's for short, see, I touched the screen again. For the short delay, that's the long delay, and, sorry about that. Short reverb, hall reverb, and delay. Like I say, they're labeled right there. So you can add each one of the effects as long as you remember each screen has a new mixer. That's why the slider, okay? If I want the short delay in there, and I only want a little bit, and I want the long delay, I want a lot, well, that'd be counterproductive. Sorry. Right there's a long reverb, sorry. And if I want delay, then I go to 3 and then add delay. You kind of don't want delay so much, but okay, that's irrelevant. So, okay, I got to put this down for a sec because it's like heavy on the arms. Okay, so keep in mind, main screen brings up the volume in the front house. Those are the master effects. They have to be up. Okay? That's the main feed of the effects to the rig. Okay? So now that's basically taking care of all front house. All right? So again, once you get the masters up for the power to the front, and you want to add reverb, you've got to go to each effect, hit the button, think of it as a new screen. Do not touch these 4 sliders in effects. You will cause an effect loop, feedback loop. What you're doing here is the master, not these subgroup here. You're doing the master, and you want that up to, you know, roughly just shy of unity. And you add the amount you want on each person's channel or each instrument's channel. And you go down the board. And like I say, the name changes each time. I've got it labeled so we know what the effect is. Okay, that takes care of front house. Okay, so we're going back to mains. Now we're going to bring this volume down. Now I've got a monitor set up way at the other end of the room. So my monitor is on 3. If I want to hear my monitor, I got to bring the power up. And remember, each thing is a screen. So bus 3 brings up a screen. It looks exactly the same. That's the confusing part. Okay, so let's see if this works.
Check, check.
You can hear it kind of in the background here. I don't have the power turned up on the monitor that loud. Oops. Okay.
Check, check.
You can hear it in the background.
Check, check. 1, 2.
Okay. So now, in this monitor screen, we got to go over this way. We have to bring up effects. Okay?
Check.
Nothing yet. Tell you why in a sec. So I'm going to bring up all the effects. There are these 3.
Check, check, check.
We got level, and I keep doing the mistake here of hitting auxiliary, and it shouldn't be. It should be this one. It's just because I'm holding this on an angle and everyone looks cockeyed.
Check, check, check.
Okay, so right now we have a delay. I think that's down. Yeah, the delay is down. Right there. So right now, I hit this delay just for the monitors here. So going back to 3.
Check.
Now the monitors have delay. Okay. So if I didn't want a certain effect in there, if I wanted to keep them all going, I could just bring this right down.
Check.
And the effect is gone. You want to keep these again up to unity, and then if you want less of something, you turn it on the individual channel.
Check, check.
So, but the best way I think for in this case for the monitors is just to bring this down by the amount. Remember, this is my monitor send. So I can bring these down. I can mute each one if I don't want any, or just take it totally down. I'm not one for effects in monitors, so I would have these totally down, but this is just for an experiment. Okay.
Check.
Oops. So hold on a sec here. Alrighty. Okay.
Check, check, check. Check, check. 1, 2.
Yeah, it's going to bring the monitors up louder.
Check. 1, 2.
For this test. All right, and then I forgot what effect I have going here.
Check, check.
So the reverb's there. So if anything, I would probably just use a short reverb. Okay. So now you can go back to mains. Mains are already set up.
Check. 1, 2.
Now I got both going. Monitors and mains.
Check. 1, 2.
Now there's delay in the front house. So if we don't want any delay at all, you can mute it.
Check. 1.
So there's no delay there.
Check.
So the thing about this too is it will actually kill the delay in the monitors when you basically do this. Okay, so basically these mains definitely have to be up for effects to be in the monitors, but they do operate separately. Very, very tricky. It took me a while to figure this out, so anyways, that's the scoop.
Check 1, 2.
And if I bring down the front house, make sure you're doing front house. This brings up this toggle switch here. And my thumb keeps hitting this. It's so sensitive that when I touch it, it changes. So it's something to get used to. I'm not crazy about that yet. So I'll bring down those. Should still have monitors.
Check 1, 2.
Which we do. And it still has some reverb in it, which is what we want. So if I go to my monitor feed.
Check 1, 2.
If I wanted to get rid of that reverb in there,
check,
it's gone. So even though the reverb is up in the mains, on the main page, right here, it has to be up for it to be universal to the monitor send. You just basically, this is the main effects, and they do affect monitors. So if these weren't up in the mains, they wouldn't work in the monitors. You can still control each, the monitor and the front house separately for how much you get, but these have to be up, just so you have the full bore smashing at the channels. And then you use your sliders accordingly. So if the monitors, if you want less, you can go less here, or you can go less here. So there's the thing about this mixer, you can do things like 3 ways with almost every function. And see up here, you can actually take those green lines without me screwing them up. Take you can take those green lines and slide them with your finger. It will work the same way as this. Like I say, there's three ways to at least to do things on this, which gets confusing. So you have to kind of pick one and get the idea of it. Okay, now you have to think about this also. We're going back to mains. If you want to EQ something, let me think here. See, I hit the mains right here, this main. That's an EQ. You can EQ the main outputs, but you have to click main first, because everything you click has its own EQing. And it's best to get used to hit the back button to get out. Now if I want to go to this channel, oops, sorry. Oh, actually I don't have to with this one. The EQ is right there. And you can EQ individual channels. Okay? It's highlighted. You can see it, the whole channel highlights. Main in blue. Main, as long as main is up, these are the main channel sliders. Let me put this mic down. It's hard to do all this stuff. Okay, always hit the back button to get out. Well, we didn't want that. I just shut it off. There we go. Okay, so we hit the back button. Now we're back into the screen again. Okay, now monitors. You go into bus 3 because that's my monitor right here. And this one here, you can, I forgot, yeah, right here. So you hit it, it's highlighted, you can see the square around it. You hit EQ, you can EQ your monitors now. The screen looks exactly like it was on the mains, but you can EQ your monitors. You can EQ each individual channel. There's different layouts of this, and the software, I have the software on my Windows base. This is an iPad, an Apple iPad. I have software for this on my Windows based tablet, and the look and layout is totally different. I don't know why they've made this software, this company Behringer made this software for all these different formats, and none of them look the same. I think that's the dumbest thing ever. So when you're looking at this and you go on the tablet, it doesn't resemble this at all. So that I find really screwy. So when I was doing both, I was like, oh, I was trying to find, you know, a couple of other options for editing. So I said, well, I wonder if the other one has it. And then when you open it up, it's like crazy different. So that's the scoop. You can get all your meters up here for everything that's going on.
Check 1 2. Check.
In one screen. The bonus of that is you can adjust all your levels accordingly while you're doing the front house mix. See, screen's all up. You can, okay, this is my mains, and whatever the guy's having in monitors, you can adjust by all the levels up there. That comes in really handy. So anyways, go back to here. Now if you wanted to do some effects changes, you don't like, you know, I have a flanger in there on the last one on channel 4. Or not channel 4, but effects 4. So I'm going to switch that out and use a compressor, because sometimes you want to compress a bit of the vocals. So short reverb, long haul reverb, then a delay, kind of your basic stuff. Now you can exit these out. You hit edit, and let's do this one. And you've got literally tons and tons of things you can plug into it and utilize it in effects 4. And then you just bring it in as much as you want for the use. Yeah, I'm just going to put that one back. And then it's in there.
Check.
Right now it's not up, so there's no levels.
Check.
Because we have that one down. Because it's not something you use all the time. Now, you can insert an effect on each channel if you wanted. You have no control, I believe, on the wet and dry functions from what I was reading online. That might have been with old software. But the advantage of that is I can run a compressor and a gate or whatever. Actually, the gate's already in here. See, that's the thing. In the other software, you have to enter all these goofy things, where this gate is right there. But anyways, point being, you can definitely add an effect like a compressor or a gate on each individual channel if you wanted, but you can't really put like a reverb or a delay, because there's no way to control like the sliders and stuff here for how much you have, and yeah, you can't do that. So like for a noise gate, you would just set it through its you know, basic settings. Like this one, it's all set up in the channel, but with the other software, like I say, it's confusing. The other software, you have to add all the plugins. It's just goofy. Very confusing. So anyways, that's the layout for our band. I'm going to try in-ear systems right now, because I'm the only guy in the band that runs in-ear. So right now I'm running monitor 3 through a powered monitor, but I really want to run I don't want to run off the single headphone out of the master mixing box, because I'm not sure if I haven't really looked at it, but the routing for all this stuff, you know, like you can route the stuff every which way, and I really don't want to get into that just for stupid headphones. So I would like to run like everything's a mic type input or a plug. So I'd like to go to 1/4 inch and either run it into a headphone amplifier, because I can still control all this stuff from stage beside the drum set. But I want to be able to at least get some volume, because I don't think there's, like with a headphone out, there's a headphone amp, so it actually's got some horsepower. But through the auxiliary out, or the monitor out bus, you know, you're just talking signal. So I'd have to amplify that, and I've got a headphone amplifier, and that just means boost up the signal. I can still do all the EQing and all that fun stuff. Okay, so here's the deal. Everyone on stage can now wirelessly, with their phone and their tablets, operate their own monitor mix. Okay, but you saw how confusing that was just for me to lay it out for you here. It would take some time for them to get the hang of it, because they would be pushing button and adjusting other people on stage's monitor mix if they're not careful. Like lead singer is right here. You can see everything's flat, right? Everything's totally flat. So we would have to adjust this. Once we get comfortable with the setup, I will save it so everything's not at 0. I will save it the way it is, so every time we go in, we're in the ballpark already. But this is the initial setup. We've not used it. We still got to mic the band up. We're going to try it this week, and then I'll save the whole thing as a scene. And then what we eventually want to do is that scene will be the basic template for the starting point, and then each bar we play, that whatever we fine tune it at, we'll save it and label it with the name of that bar, and we should be able to comfortably load in each scene from each bar, and the mix will be just like it was the last time we played there. That's the whole point of this, to save setup and mix time. We're an easy band to mix anyways, but this would make it even simpler. But I mean, that all sounds good, but right now this whole process of me learning this has taken hours and hours and hours for the past 3 days. So, but it's coming there. And like I say, I really like this mute function. It's muting all the vocals with just 4 numbers, 4 groups. That's pretty slick. So we're back to 3. Alright, so that's the scoop. I know that was probably an annoying video with my shaky hands and trying to hold it. There's probably a light glare and you won't be able to see half the stuff, but that's what we're doing. So now it's test out the in-ear monitor rig. Okay, kids, we got the in-ear monitor thing working. As we showed you in the other video, we're on my monitor 3. Got my own EQing. Obviously with headphones, the EQing was totally different than the speakers, so I had to roll a lot of the high off. I brought the volume down too. Now that EQ is on my monitor feed. Won't affect anybody else's. That allows me to run a mic cable out of my auxiliary 3. Now I can't run it directly into headphones because there's not enough power there. So we have to boost the signal. Now I could use the headphone out on this, but I'd have to learn how to route the signal or to these headphones here, because I still want to be able to control my own mix. Plus there's a level here. I find that just to be a bit of a pain. At least with this is a headphone amplifier. You can run 4 sets of headphones with this. I use one in my studio here, right here, and you can boost the volume. You kind of go up to, you don't need it any more than unity there. It works fine. One glitch though. It's set up for stereo. This unit. So I have to rewire the one of the mic cables, unless I have one that goes to 1/4 inch right here. Right now that's mono. You can see the single stripe. Stereo would be 2. So I might have one that's stereo on the end, but I don't know for sure. If not, I've got lots of stereo ends. It's easy to make. And that allows for left and right and better signal, obviously. And we are golden. We are ready to rock and roll with this thing. Now we just have to worry about interference. It's got its own built-in Wi-Fi, but from what I heard, it's hit and miss in bigger venues. For now, we're in a small venue. There is some way around it with a password, but being it's an iPad, it's Apple, I'm a little green on that platform. I haven't had a Mac in quite a few years. I definitely do not like this iPad. I like to be able to get into all the system files and all that fun stuff because I'm a geek. That's why I like the PCs. You can definitely manipulate a lot of the stuff. So, but we are ready to rock with this system. Setting everybody up is just going to be a pain, and I have to save it because I don't think it will save it automatically. I have to find out about that. So if I shut it all down, then we're kind of screwed. So that's why I like the PC version of the software, because I can save those scenes with all my settings in its own file and carry it on a thumb drive everywhere. So if I was to run into another city and I was doing sound for somebody on a system that I rented from the store that was the same as this, I can plug my scene in, it comes up, and there we go. So the iPad, I'm just not familiar with it, but I can't see a way to, I mean, there's no USB on the damn thing to even get the file on it. So it's obviously saving within it, and it recalls it every time I turn it on, but I'd rather have the physical file where I could see it and not be hidden like this. So anyways, long video today, but hopefully it helps someone out there that's going through the same torture as me. We're good to go though. Thanks for watching.